ahead. If we open up a little bit, you'll see what's in store here. It's a street through an industrial area, and it comes out just north of the Postal Annex in South Los Angeles. But it doesn't look like they were able to get a unit there in time. They could have maybe possibly shut that down. There was no real routes off of that street, off the 61st Street. But we're now turning southbound. Looks like this is probably going to be back onto Central, and we're back in the same area. But I tell you, we listened to the speaker he just had. I didn't catch his name. But it's got to be really tough for the police. Bruce, thank you so much for that. Because you don't want to just let a guy like this get away as well. I mean, you don't want to set a standard, whereas you drive crazy through the city, we're just going to let you go. Because then you may be encouraging individuals to do that any time that they get pulled over or get lit up by the police. They'll just run, and they'll know that the police aren't going to follow. So it's really a catch-22. It's a tough situation to be in. The patrol cars are a long ways back right now because he's traveling at such a high rate of speed on Central. But certainly, the area, the slowing there for a moment, did someone get out, or did they give them something? That didn't look like a man, but maybe I couldn't tell. But it looks to me like there's still a passenger. I think they gave them something, and you know what that looks like? A bottle of alcohol. I'm not certain what it would be, but it appeared that individual, that passenger right there, opened up a bottle of something and took a drink. Oh boy, they're sliding out once again. Open up for me a little bit, Tad, so I can see the oncoming. That looked to me what happened at that intersection. You guys can run it back and see that. I won't be able to see it. That he stopped in the intersection. A man ran up, gave them a bottle of alcohol. I'm just assuming it's alcohol, bottle of something. And immediately the passenger, as they drove down the street, opened up that bottle and took a big chug. Yes, something. No, it doesn't. It doesn't bode well for the mentality on board that vehicle. No, they could have got out. Oh, now he's stuck. We'll see. Open up a little bit. Are there units behind him? Are there units behind him? That vehicle is actually stopping him. He could have got out of the way. Okay, you get a little bit if you could, so we can see. He's hitting a. It looks like he's trying to push him out of the way, but it's not working. He's wedged. I think he's trying to push him possibly, and those are the tires smoking. Open up a little bit for me and be very careful here with this shot, Tad. We do not want to show somebody getting hurt or killed, even those suspects, and if that driver puts that in reverse and goes towards the officers, they are more than likely going to open fire. It looks like right now he's just gunning it and trying to push that pickup truck out of the way. Push in quickly, and it may work. He's slowly pushing. Is there anybody in the pickup truck, or do they have enough sense to get out? Oh, boy, look at this. Look at this. Yeah, but that pickup truck could get away if he wanted to, right? He's actually trying to stop the guy. So that's a big mistake. The police don't want you to do that if you just saw that. But it looks like there may be damage to the vehicle. It can't travel that fast. Yep. And you can almost see the panic on the passenger's face there. Well, didn't look like panic there. I thought it was going to be, but there's got to be a lot of panic knowing now that this is going to end soon. Could you open up a little bit for me so I can get an idea what the patrol cars are doing behind them? But, yeah. Correct. And, in this case, it looked like that was effective, what that individual did, that citizen, that civilian in the vehicle. But they certainly don't want you to do that because you're putting yourself in harm's way. This vehicle is going to get uncontrollable here in a minute. What's dicey now is how this ends. And if it ends in gunfire, we're around homes. I mean, if they get out and they threaten the police, or if they're armed and it ends up in a shooting, you just hate to see an innocent person hurt or killed. And the vehicle is certainly slowed. There's difficulty. The tire just came off. So it's on the rim on that left side. This should be over in a moment. We hope no one gets hurt, and of course, people outside trying to film it. Yep. I thought I saw it, and then I noticed it was the opposite. Yeah, you got to wonder. Yep. Seen him catch on fire. Yeah, I think it'll be depending on how fast that individual can get this vehicle going. But I've actually seen this before. Once it's on the rim, there'll be enough heat. It'll catch on fire, and then what'll happen is the rim will disintegrate. It'll go right down to the axle, and then the vehicle can't move. So they're going to be content more than likely to just back off as far as the vehicles are concerned and wait till this vehicle can no longer move, because that time is coming. Oh, look at that. It's pretty high speed. Yep, yeah, with no tire on the rim. I can't see that this can continue that much longer. There was a pursuit I covered one time with a Range Rover that was on 4 rims, and it went on forever, it seemed like, up on the 101 up towards Santa Barbara. But in this case, I just don't think that vehicle is going to be able to travel for long on that one rim without it just collapsing onto the axle. And when that happens, it won't be able to move. And at least we're seeing speeds now that aren't that dangerous to the public. You were blocked there. Could you say again, Philip? Yeah, several times. This is Grand. It parallels the 110 freeway just to the east side. And it looks like we've got some information that they will try and do the pit maneuver if they feel that it's safe. You can tell, yeah, it's belligerence. You're absolutely right. It's almost as they're celebrating. Yeah, maybe she wants to get out. At this point, I would think panic is setting in, right? Yeah, you got to think it's close to panic, that they know that they're going to be in handcuffs here pretty soon. And, yeah, there are felony charges on this. I mean, there's so many charges. I think it just keeps going and going and going, you know, from a stolen vehicle to evading to reckless driving to felony hit and run. You know, the driver for certain is going to be in a whole lot of trouble, and they're going to spend a lot of time in jail. Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, I'm not certain if something was thrown out there or not. It was kind of hard to see. Yeah, something might have fallen off. I mean, if we get to the other side, I think we're going to see that rim at some point just collapse. Oh, boy, and you can't control the vehicle. We're on Main Street at Gage in South Los Angeles, and once it does stop, you can see how hard it is to get going again. So it wouldn't surprise me that any moment now, if it's clear in front of the vehicle, they'll try and do the pit maneuver because the speed is such that if they do hit it from behind, it'll just spin out. And boy, that's a dangerous situation for the officers, though. That vehicle spins around, and you're doing the pit maneuver, and you don't know if the suspect's armed or not. You got to figure the adrenaline's going to be high on that one. Yeah. Yeah, a good old General Motors ingenuity there, right? The rear rim is working pretty good. I think that's a Chevy, if I'm not mistaken. But you can see how long it takes him for getting up to speed. But, you know, you start seeing 40, 50 miles an hour with the rim like that. If he tries to make a turn, he will not be able to control the vehicle. And we may see this here. But that rim is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You see that? And when it drops off completely onto the axle, then I think the vehicle won't be controllable. Once it does slow, it's really hard to get going once again. And it is quite amazing that it's continued on this long since the flat occurred. But you know, it's the last few precious moments for these two. They're either going to end up in jail or something worse, and you see a lot of people still out on the streets there. Yeah, I guess they can get it to that speed, right? Once it stops, it's really hard to get it accelerating to that speed, but it's also going to be nearly uncontrollable if you try and make a turn now. And I believe that police will move in as soon as they have the chance, do the pit maneuver, and end this. We hope that that person that was hit on that head-on collision, we're at Avalon and Florence here, you can tell how slow it moves once it's stopped. It just can't get any momentum. Look at the sparks flying out from that rim. We could see it catch on fire. We've seen that happen before. The rubber there will start to catch on fire, and then it'll spread to the vehicle. 15 miles an hour, it takes a while to get going. And we believe that the police will probably move in and stop this when they can. But at least at this point, we're not seeing this being a huge threat to the public because we're not seeing those 80-mile-an-hour speeds like we saw before. This will be over soon, and like I mentioned, we hope this just ends peacefully, that they just did this for attention, and when they are told to get out of the vehicle, they put their hands up, they turn around, and they do it by the book because you know the officers are pretty hyped up on this. It's been going on for a while, and you know that they don't know if these suspects could be armed, and if they don't obey the orders that they're given by the officers and they make any quick movements, they do what looks like might be reaching for a weapon, they're going to open fire. Yeah. Who thought we were going to see this today, huh? We got this gold Chevy driving down Avalon, and that push into the rim is almost gone. You remember what that rim... Oh, there it goes. I think it's going to collapse in a moment. And when it does, remember how big it was when we first saw that? It was just a few moments ago. And it's just disintegrating. And I think any moment now it's just going to collapse. And when that happens, I think that this will end right after that. Jay, if you could... Yeah, I was trying to get a message to Jay just for a moment there. If you can have him stay off the frequency, that'd be great. Yeah, absolutely. We are on Avalon southbound, Philip. Open up a little bit for me, Tad. I just want to get an idea exactly what the police are doing here. And you see the patrol cars right behind them. The helicopter is still overhead. At least, and boy, a little acceleration there. You got to think the suspect at this point has the gas pedal all the way to the floor, right? Because it's the only way you can get it up to this type of speed. We're hoping when this stops, they do the pit. It's all over. We're also just, if you live in this area, it's really the area that it's been most of the time in South LA. Just stay inside. This could end in a shootout. I mean, that's possible. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you covered these things. You do this for long enough. You know how dynamic it is. You just never know what's going to happen. But you also have seen so many innocent people be hurt. Now, I hit the brakes there. You saw that rim lock up for a moment. And now it'll take a while before the vehicle can get back up to speed. And if the officer sees the opportunity, usually it's below 35 or 40 miles an hour. Anything above that, they don't like to do the pit. He'll do the pit maneuver. But also he has to make sure there's nobody around. The officer doesn't want to be involved in an action right now or an activity when this is probably going to come to a stop on its own where his action causes the harm of someone else. They really don't. I mean, you watch this and just know that there's a supervisor and a watch commander, and they're all over this, and they're trying to figure out the best way for this to end without incident. Got it. Here's a turn. I mean, the car's going to. Yeah, it almost looks like we've been by that Arco a few times right there. That might have been where they put the spike strip out earlier. Another spike strip might be a good idea, because if they could get some of the other tires flat, then this would really just, end at a snail's pace. But incredibly, this individual is able to keep going. We did get a report just moments ago. Jay passed that on to me that according to the police, that the passenger is trying to egg on the crowds. They're trying to get people going. They're trying to actually, get some enthusiasm out of them. So this whole dangerous thing may have just been a ploy here in South LA for people to get attention. And if that is the case, then you start to think about, mental health, drugs, and alcohol, because you really can't explain it any other way. And then it was incredible when the vehicle went around that corner, and it appeared to be a man who ran up and gave them a bottle of, champagne. It looked like a big bottle of something of who knows. And what was really incredible is how quickly she opened it up and started drinking it. It was like she couldn't do it any faster. She wanted that immediately. Yeah, look at this. Now, they had a spike strip set up at Main, up ahead, and he made a turn. They don't like to do barricades per se, and they don't like to really put their cars in front of that and stop the pursuit that way unless they absolutely have to. It was just a pursuit that was uncommon that I covered up in the North Hollywood area one time, where they did actually commandeer a semi, and they moved it forward a little bit, and then they just got away from it. But you don't really see them put their patrol cars in one spot, and because they don't know where he's heading, and just get out of their vehicle and leave him in the intersection. I assume it's a possibility, but at this point, I don't think they would consider that, because they're going to spike him again for sure. What is that? Did someone throw something on the windshield of the vehicle? That was a while ago. I just noticed that. But here we go. We're going to get a fire in the back of this vehicle. Open up a little. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think right now LAPD is probably looking at this and saying, something, just hang on back. It's going to end eventually. The vehicle is going to completely break down, and then we're going to take these guys into custody. If they may do a spike strip, but I doubt they would see them put their patrol cars in front of the truck. And they may do a pit maneuver, but there's not too many places around here where you can do it without possibly endangering somebody on the sidewalk. I know. Making a turn. Yep, I don't know if she's trying to get out, Giovanna. She's we'll try and get around that side, because we see she's doing something. We did have information she was trying to get the crowd going. I think it's going to stop here in this alleyway. Turn into an alleyway. Can you open up a little bit so I can see what's ahead? And we want to get a little bit further south so we can see down the alley. Officers may be able to get to the other side and stop it at that intersection before it gets to probably what's going to be 77th Street. There's an officer to the right. If he turns right, there'd be an officer down there. There's a lot of patrol cars in these intersections. The vehicle is barely moving. I think at this point they're just going to wait and watch this thing stop, and then hopefully take the suspects into custody without incident. But you can tell, push in there. Did it catch on fire? It's close, and it's going to be right down to the axle. It is on the gas tank side, so yeah, very, very interesting. It looks like he's having a difficult time now controlling the vehicle, and he's having to turn the wheel quite a bit to continue to go straight. And I think there's a spike strip up ahead at Main Street, at 78th and Main possibly. When the vehicle's traveling this slow, it gives officers a lot of time to set something up. And, you know, traveling at 80 miles an hour is nearly impossible. But in a situation like this, can you open up? Oh, did it stop there? No, I saw that other vehicle. We believe at this intersection coming up, there may be another spike strip. You see the patrol car there at Main Street. So there's a spike strip there. Now the vehicle stopped, and this is where it gets dicey, folks. There's a fire in the back. You can see a little flame coming out there. The door is open. Open up a little bit and be careful here, Tad, if this turns into a gun battle. People, oh boy, they made a run for it. They get out of the vehicle. They ran. They will be in custody here in just a moment. That is for certain. There's an officer down the street. We'll try and keep them in the screen, but they're going to have them in custody in a moment. One is down. Two are down. They have both in custody. And you can push in now, Tad, all the way in. I believe, is that just one or is that both? That's, okay, open up, open up. They're still chasing the other one. Oh, the dog's going to help. Okay, boy, both are in custody in what was a wild pursuit, extremely high rates of speed. We did see, unfortunately, that one person that was probably injured when the vehicle turned around, and they are having a tough time subduing this individual. He does not want to give himself up. He is resisting officers. That's the driver. He had the hat on. That's the male. The other side of the street is the female. Go ahead, Philip. Open up. I think it's, yeah, the vehicle's, there it is. It's fine. It seemed to cool off once they slowed down. But, you know, watching something like this, there were so many instances when somebody could have been hurt or killed that this followed a pattern in which this is probably one of the best outcomes. Now, unfortunately, that one person was probably injured. I don't know if we have that tape. It was just crazy. The vehicle spun out, then got onto the northbound 110, or heading northbound onto the southbound 110 into oncoming traffic. That person in that vehicle is more than likely injured, hopefully just minor. We did see the airbag open up. But with all the possible outcomes we could have had today, with this pursuit that's gone on, I don't know, an hour and a half or so, and how dangerous it was, this is at least an outcome where no one, we believe, was seriously hurt. And in a situation like that, that's incredible. You go over to the other side. Yeah, no, I just want to see the female. She's being taken into custody. She obviously did not resist like the male did. We understand the fire department is on their way. The fire department will definitely give aid to these two suspects. They'll just take their condition and you know, make sure they're okay before the LAPD takes them. They may have to take them to the hospital if they were hurt. It's hard to say. But certainly, you know, this is a situation that could have ended so badly. It ended here with the two suspects in custody. And as far as that one injury, we don't think anyone else seriously hurt. And, you know, that's what we were hoping for right from the beginning when we started following this vehicle doing 80 through residential areas here in South Los Angeles. Open up a little. Yeah, and interesting because, you know, if you haven't been with us during the entire pursuit, you know, the LAPD tried to do their best to just back off, and they were hoping that the suspect would just drive calmly and, you know, just go about his own business and maybe try and get on his feet and run and get out of the vehicle. But the suspect wouldn't do that, even with the LAPD backing off, going into surveillance mode. The suspect continued to drive erratically at high rates of speed and endanger the public, and that's when they re-engaged. And it ended here. You guys probably have some footage to run back, but that was pretty sensational. That vehicle could continue going for so long on that rim. Oh boy. Yeah. Boy, look at the crowd. Yep. Yeah, they wouldn't recommend that somebody do that, but in this case, it worked out okay. I mean, the suspect could have been armed and shot that individual for stopping the vehicle there. You just never know, so I don't think that's a risk you want to take as a civilian. But in this case, it did turn out that act was one of the reasons this ended when it did and how it did, and so it worked out. The suspects both in custody. And, boy, come open up and just look at the crowd down at the bottom of your screen, 78th and Main in South L.A. And, word got out. I don't know if this is an area where the suspect and the passenger may have lived, but a lot of people were hearing that the pursuit was ongoing. They would have heard the sirens as the patrol cars drove by. They may have got it from media of some sort, and so they were out on the streets. Well, thank you. Yeah, good timing. Um, I'm not. I'm not sure why, but every time Chad would transmit on the desk frequency, I would hear it, even though I don't have it selected. Yeah. Are they here? Are we clear? We're getting pretty low on fuel. Yeah. Yeah, we got a few minutes. Might be a while, though, because looks like they're probably going to have a paramedic treat them first. What's going on the other side? Did they... well, there's one right there, no? Open up. I don't see him out my window. Good job, guys. Austin, good job. Tad, thank you. What? What's that? Yeah, I don't it's not selected. Excuse me? I don't even know what you're talking about. Push in to transmit on what button? Well, I've been doing this a long time. I know if FM3 is selected or not. I mean, are you telling me that if I have FM3 selected, I'll hear it? Well, no kidding. That's how it works. If I have FM3 selected, I'll hear it. I don't have it selected, and I'm hearing it. I mean, I know enough that if I hear it to unselect it. No, I have 2 rows, but FM3 is not selected on either row. Only FM2, which is the IFP. I don't know. I don't know why I heard it. All right, Jay, we need to bug out. All right, have a good weekend. Talk to you Wednesday. Yeah, thank you. You helped a lot, man. I appreciate it. Well, good timing, I guess. Oh. Yeah, we have to have a, are we still have the signal up or not? Is it still up? Jay, can you hear me? Simon Desk Air 7. Jay, can you still hear me on microwave? Jay, you with me on microwave? Simon Desk Air 7, Jay. Oh, is that brush clearing up there on top of the hill? Oh, wow, wow. Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Jay, can you still, excuse me, hear me on microwave? Radio check. Would you transmit on the desk frequency again, please? One more time. Yeah, try it again. Try it one more time. Yeah, I didn't hear you, man. I don't know why. Maybe this thing was just stuck. I guess it was stuck. It pops out. There's a little button in here. It just got rough because when you were talking to transmitting, I was hearing it come through on the micro on the desk frequency, and it was up pretty loud. But that's interesting. I'm not sure why it did that. Oh well. Yeah.